Two sisters fight for love. Servants get caught in the struggle, and children are born in a whirlwind of jealousy and striving. But inside the chaos, something much deeper is taking shape. Rachel, who had been barren, cried out in frustration to Jacob, "Give me children or I'll die." Jacob became angry and said, "Am I in the place of God who has kept you from having children?" That opening tension sets the tone. It's jealousy, longing, and desperation all tangled together. Leah, who had already borne Jacob children, gave her servant Zilpah to Jacob to bear more on her behalf. Rachel responded by giving her servant Bilhah, leading to more children. What looks like a competition of wombs was actually the building of Israel, the 12 tribes who would carry the covenant forward. And here's the mystery. The bride of Christ, the church, is foreshadowed in this messy beginning. Not born out of neat order, but through brokenness, rivalry, and struggle, God brings forth his chosen people. Paul wrote, "We have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us." Leah named her sons with declarations of hope and pain. "Now my husband will love me. The Lord has seen my misery. God has rewarded me." Rachel, through Bilhah, named her sons as signs of her vindication. "God has judged my case. I have struggled with my sister and prevailed." These names weren't just labels. They were confessions of the human heart in conflict. Yet through them, God was weaving the covenant story. The church is the same. Not a perfect assembly, but a people whose very names and stories testify that God's grace works through human weakness. Just as the tribes of Israel came from this rivalry, the bride of Christ is gathered out of division, longing, and grace that transforms chaos into covenant. One strange detail in the chapter stands out: the mandrakes. Reuben found them in the field and gave them to Leah, and Rachel bargained for them, hoping they would help her conceive. It almost feels superstitious, as if human effort could force God's hand. But it didn't work the way Rachel hoped. Instead, God remembered Leah, and she bore more children. The message is clear. Fruitfulness doesn't come from human tricks, but from God's hand. The church learns the same lesson. We don't grow by gimmicks, shortcuts, or manipulation. Paul said, "I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the growth." Genesis 30 reminds us that the bride of Christ is fruitful not because of human striving, but because of God's remembering. By the end of the chapter, Rachel finally conceived and bore Joseph, saying, "God has taken away my disgrace." That moment ties the whole messy chapter together. God used rivalry, desperation, and longing to bring forth the one who would later save nations from famine. And through that same line, Christ would come. The bride of Christ, the church, emerges the same way. Not from perfect conditions, but from God working in weakness, bringing life where there was barrenness, and turning disgrace into joy. So Genesis 30 isn't just a story of rivalry and jealousy. It's the prophecy of a bride born through struggle, preserved by grace, and destined for glory. If you believe God can take even chaos and make it fruitful for his bride, then put the word fruitful in the comments. Because in Christ's church, what starts in rivalry always ends in redemption.